ToyLeet assembly. Step up and see flashes the ToyLeet crew. We're the kings of the game, yeah, the chosen few. From the shadows we rise with the rarest finds. Collect them, respect them, we're one of a kind. ToyLeet, ready in the streets, elite with the feats in this collectible feast. ToyLeet, never the street, when the heart of the beat, we're all playmates me. Check our stacks, our collection supreme. Limited editions, every collector's dream. We're the myths, we're the legends, with every drop. Taking over the block, we never stop. In the alleys where the echoes play. ToyLeet's the name, hear what we say. Rising, thriving, always thriving. In our realm we're always dropping. ToyLeet, reign in the street, the live ToyLeet. Setting the pace, with a snap of the case and a click of the lock. ToyLeet's on top and we're ready to rock. Collecting more than just toys, we're up. We're up. We're up. Feast ToyLeet, never the street, when the heart of the beat, we're all playmates me. We're the tree, we're the ToyLeet, what's the flow? Cause in this zone, we never admit defeat. Come for the thrill, stay for the chase. ToyLeet's in the place, set in the pace.
What is up?
What's up, man? Cameras were all messed up. We're little bubbles there. What's up, dude?
You know, just living the dream, man. Living the dream. I cut the tip of my finger off.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Crafting?
Yeah, I was building a dial. Ruler slipped. Sliced the tip off.
Yeah. That sucks, dude.
That's like a faucet.
That's a monster.
You know, it's a little sore today. Did it yesterday afternoon, but it is what it is. Sucks trying to work a keyboard. That's all.
Yeah. So there's this new icon thing. I just saw it, and I don't know if you saw it. It says show comments on stage. It's in the beta.
Yeah.
So do we want to just try that this week and see how it looks? See what it does?
Sure.
Or do you want to stick to the normal?
Well, let's see what it does. We can always turn it off.
Sounds good. I just turned it on. We'll see what happens. I don't know how it works, but maybe things will show up at some point. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But man, life is good, dude. Getting ready for a new job here in a couple weeks. A few weeks, actually. Just prepping for that. Study material just got sent my way today, so looking forward to diving in there. Doing a little prep in the 3D modeling space myself. I'm working on something. Gonna have to share it with you. Well, it's beyond that, right? Like, my mind can stay to one thing. So I saw something the other day, was posted somewhere, and it got me thinking. And I was like, you know what? I think I can play in this space too. So, it all comes back to my 3D printing and what I can do.
Oh, yeah.
And I was already playing around with some stuff before, so we'll see how things go. But life is good, man. Life is good.
Awesome.
Can't complain. Son just flew out to Australia.
Oh, yeah.
He's supposed to hit up New Zealand at some point. He's on his way. Last time I heard, he was flying over Michigan or something. I think he said it looked like shit down there, and Ohio's really way better. I know that guy's not in the chat yet, but hey, when he rewinds and listens, he'll know.
Yeah.
That said, and my daughter, she just got her license today, so she's driving.
Oh, she passed, huh?
But yeah,
awesome.
Man. Can't complain.
Now all the hair is just gonna go gray.
No, it's there. I mean, you can see it all through that beard, right?
Yeah, it gets worse now that they drive.
Awesome, good deal. How about you, man? How about you?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. I'm getting it ready for Joe Fest. I'm staying with Punk, so I canceled my reservation that I had, and did that yesterday because I had I think they gave me up to a week to do it, but I was like, if I don't do it now, I'll forget, and then charge for the room. So I canceled that yesterday, got all my travel arrangements set up, and figured out my that stuff. Did that yesterday.
Great.
Other than that, I finally got some pickups this week. Some stuff came in the mail.
You did?
Yeah, it has
Tell me
been
what you got, man.
Has been a long time since I had some pickups. So to start with, you know,
let's throw you up on the big screen here.
Everybody knows my love of cowboys, so I picked up the Outlaw skeleton figure from Boss Fight Studios. Not a bad figure. The skeleton is pretty flimsy compared to like the Four Horsemen one, but I kind of got him for mostly just for his accessories, and then he comes with regular feet, so I can have a regular skeleton. And then I got the Cyclops, new Cyclops from Marvel Legends.
That's clean. That reminds me of the one when I was a kid, man.
Yeah, this one I picked up for Luke. He's a big Cyclops fan. Been playing the whatever that Marvel game is. The new Marvel video game. I don't remember anything about it again. Then I picked him up the Nightcrawler too. Cool.
That's clean. I like that one.
Yeah, it's a really good looking Nightcrawler. So
yeah.
Is
that like what? Is that like the X-Force version of that?
Yeah, it's the X-Force gray and black version.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are my 3 pickups. So I was pretty happy.
Cool.
You know, getting stuff in the mail finally. Slow and steady.
Good deal. I mean, I think that leads to a point of this isn't a recent pickup, but it is an unboxing, and it is time for.
God, if you have a weak stomach, you may stop right here. Anybody hungry?
So it's been a minute since we've had a ToyLeet or toilet segment. So I thought what better way to kick it off with something that I felt even before I opened it up would likely end up on the shelf somewhere for as long as I could keep it there before my son takes it off and likely just finds a way to play with it, since it is a really cool figure. And what this one is one of the recent con exclusives, I believe, from Savage Crucible Harbinger Studios, Shield of Dezaria. Sorry, I had to look at the box over there. But I just opened this one up today to let some plastic breathe. And first and foremost, I got to say, as soon as I opened it up, what I loved was the way they have this sword holder like chained on to the waistband here and the armor.
Is it real chain?
And just it's so clean. No, it's plastic. It's definitely plastic, but it's good. Like you wouldn't. I mean, like looking at it, it's got like a night. I think it's plastic.
It might be some.
Hold on, I'll test it.
It might be some of that really thin.
I got a magnet here, so I'll check and see if it's magnetic. Oh, it is metal.
All right,
it's definitely metal. Yeah.
Good. Yep.
So I am mistaken. So
even better.
You can see it is definitely metal. So yeah, I mean it's very lightweight. So that's cool. I did not realize that. They definitely spared no expense on giving you some really cool chain link. The way it's hung on there. This is just such a cool figure. It comes with a cloth cape here. Really cool. Came with a couple different head sculpts. I'm not doing the full review. Other people have seen it, I'm sure. Go look at somebody else's reviews if you want the fully detailed review of it. But they did a good job on these different head sculpts. I think these are cool, but they make me think of the Jurassic Park stuff more than
you don't like
the battle. Yeah, I don't like it. I'm more of the battle, lizards, that Lemurians that I'm thinking of, So I stuck with the basic head that came on it. But yeah, they come with just the one weapon that you have in the holster, and then they have the
sheath.
Well, yeah, they have the sheath that it goes in, but they also have like the little potion bottle with the red on here. Cool. I've seen these in different colors from the other releases. They also come with the blind bag card, which I cut, but I have not looked at. So I'm going to pull that out here live on the stream. Came with Savage Crucible. I think I've got this one, Royal Guard. So nothing new here on that. And then I also have the blind bag weapon that it comes with, which again, I didn't open it yet, but I did cut it. So I'll pull that out here. And looks like I'm getting the one that I've already seen a few times. I have not been able to hit on the blue ones. It seems like most of the ones I've been getting are the poison looking ones here with the green and yellow, but still really cool. I know with wave 2 coming soon, we should start to see some more blind bags and whatnot coming out with some new weapons, as they alluded to. But yeah, this one is definitely a shelf worthy figure. They replaced the feet in this release, just like the the slate, whatever those ones were, the shadow slate, I think is what it was, maybe. And they replaced the feet so you don't have the toe articulation that our buddy Punk over there was complaining about. So this one definitely isn't getting flushed. This one will go on my shelf for sure. And
Yeah,
I'll
you'll make
probably
a nice
start playing the dwarf.
combatant for your outdoor shots against some.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like this one. This one's cool, and they previewed that a while ago. So definitely happy to have that one in the collection for sure. So awesome. You want to hit up the chat real quick?
Let's hit the chat up.
I guess those things aren't showing.
No. Sig Toy Arts. I think you guys set that up on the front side, so we'll try figuring that out later, maybe for next week or something. Sig Toy Arts is in the house. What's up? And Min Hughes is here. What's up, all? And this guy pulling the double duty. And Sig Toy Arts saying, laugh out loud, long ass intro. Fat Red Foo, what's up? And greetings, my beautiful summer children. Allison Toy Retro Princess. And Tiffany from the Vaz Zone saying hi to everyone.
And hey, real quick, Allison, I'm not ignoring you. I've just been so busy. I will follow up and we'll get that coloring session scheduled here soon.
And Brick saying leet. And yes, Fat Rifu, super glue is the only way I got the blood to stop. So I did have to glue my finger back together. And we are now Toy Tube official because Nolan is in the house. And yeah, Brick, it's a good looking cowboy. Problem is, it's just so thin that it's real difficult to stand up. So that's the only really downside to it. And of course, it's orange also, which, you know, they colored theirs to separate which ones are which, but it's still pretty cool looking. Like I said, I got it mostly for the accessories, so I'll be stripping them down to a basic skeleton and probably painting them more of a pretty light color to make them look dead. Really have to open, film, and release a video of that guy talking about your savage dude there.
That's a guy to go watch for sure.
Mudhorn Station Ian's here, morning all from across the pond. And Fat Food saying, I said nothing about the intro this time.
Tune in next week.
And yeah, Jetman, what's up, everybody?
What's up, Jetman?
And that is it. Are you hearing an echo?
Awesome. I'm not hearing an echo.
Right. I must be coming back.
It might be
your mic. Yeah, there it's gone now.
Oh. Yeah, so I just moved the phone away from my ear. You might be hearing it through there. Yeah, my bad, dude.
Just picking it back up. It's all right.
Okay, cool.
All right, man. That's the chat for now.
Let me switch real quick. Let me switch this real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, Fat Rifu saying he hears it, and so does Brick.
Yeah, complainers.
Yeah. Can't make anybody happy these days.
Awesome.
Jesus.
You guys shouldn't have it shouldn't be hearing it anymore. Let us know if you guys are hearing it still.
Nope, I don't hear it anymore. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Okay. So that said, man, let's jump right in, dude.
Let's dive right in. Let's
dive in.
In.
Let me present this real quick. Boom. This week's topic, right? So welcome back, right? This week we're heading into some familiar territory, but it's starting to feel like a ghost town, right? We're talking about the retail apocalypse, the slow death of the in-store toy hunt, really, more specifically. The shelves have been empty. They are empty. The pegs are a bit dusty. And the thrill of the hunt is, at least for me, been fading pretty fast. Is retail failing us, though, Ed, or has the game just changed? So later on, when we get to the main topic tonight, which won't be too far from now because we don't have a lot on the agenda, we'll break it down a little bit, the nostalgia, some of the frustration, and what we see as the future of toy hunting in 2025 and beyond. So, with that said, Ed, you know what time it is, right?
Sorry, my son, I had to take a break. My son was bringing out science experiments from his room. You know how teenage boys are.
You're good, man. You're good. So
the creek where the water flows. We're shouting out to those who know. Spreading joy, sharing love. ToyLeet fam, you rise above. Shout out from the creek, you're the best. Hype up the heroes who've passed the test. Community stars shining bright, lifting each other, they feel so right.
All right. This week's shout out from the Crick goes, well, it's kind of a two-parter because it goes to Dead Man 1. Dead Man has been participating with the clubhouse over the last few weeks, so it's good to see him hanging out there. Been hanging out in some other people's chats. But part of the reason that we're shouting out Dead Man 1 is because of his Toy Mercs page. On his Toy Mercs Instagram page, every like 3 or 4 times a week they do collabs. So you can figure out what the collab is. Like I think Sunday's custom day, and then they do like a horror day, and then they do a whatever craziness day. Like you could participate, use the hashtag. They share it all over the place. It gets you some exposure if you're just starting out, or if you just want to join and have some fun. Really accepting group. And then he also has the Toy Mercs Legions, which Legions has just created a new quarterly magazine that's all about action figures, photography, people that we know in the community, ads. It's a really nice magazine. Really stiff, cover, really stiff paper, great photography, great images in there. They did a really nice job on it. They just got the first issue starting to go out. Second issue, of course, it's by quarter, so it won't come out till near the end of the third quarter, or the beginning of the third quarter. I mean, since it's the beginning of the second quarter. So, yeah, go on over there. Also, tomorrow night on the Toy Mercs YouTube channel, they are doing a 5,000 follower Instagram giveaway, huge giveaway. They have the Mezco Gomez biker set. They have a bunch of couple other Mezcos, some NECA, whatever you want to call it, all sorts of different things. So if you go over to Toy Mercs Instagram, you can see the rules there, how to sign up for the giveaways. They're doing one on Instagram, but the big one is on YouTube tomorrow night at 9 p.m. And, Dead Man is just, always supportive of everybody. And that's kind of what the Toy Mercs started out to be, is helping promote other photographers and just people that love action figures and stuff. So
awesome. Good deal.
I've already claimed him, Tiffany. That Biker Gomez is mine.
I mean, unless I win them, right?
Yeah. I found some amazing NECA in Wisconsin that I had never seen before. We'll probably post toy hunting on Wednesday. I'm having issues with copyright in the background. Oh, lovely copyright issues, but that's awesome. Well, I know since you love me so much and I'm your best friend and your brother from another mother, that if you did win the Gomez, that you'd give that to me, right?
Me?
You can just say yes and make me feel good.
I mean, yeah, right.
Okay. You got anything you want to
add?
Yeah,
no, I think it's really cool. The Toy Mercs, I came across them through you and through some shares on Instagram pretty recently, actually. I know they've been around for a bit. I think I caught some of their live streams from time to time, but I really picked up on them, being honest, when I saw them doing the 5K giveaway. And I thought that was really cool. And so some of the stuff they had there drew me in. Then you and I started talking about the toy magazine that they're doing, and I thought that was cool because one, I love it. I have the other toy magazine. I can't think what it's called right now. Toy Collector. Yeah, Toy Collector, and another one I think is cool. So I'm hoping to get in touch and maybe have some Hexastack branded, advertisements in there. But that's not why we're promoting them. We're promoting them because we think Dead Man's doing some cool stuff and really interested in it.
You got to go to awesome. legionsmagazine.com, I believe, is how you order the magazine. It's like $15, but it's absolutely worth it.
I got the link
he showed off the magazine issue 1 on the clubhouse the other night, and I mean, it's like literally a coffee table book, something you wouldn't be ashamed to have sitting on your coffee table to reference and just look at the pictures and everything, right? So it's worth the $15. And yeah, I mean, outside of that, they're doing a great thing by offering some, free ad space for especially new toy lines and things like that to get in and get some promotion. And this is quarterly, so it's not going to interfere with the Toy Collector, which I think comes out opposite.
Bi-monthly.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, the link to it is on the page here. You can see it's legionsmagazine.com right there. So you guys should be able to go out there and find anything you need from them. Obviously, take a look at Deadman's links. He's got a bunch of stuff on his Instagram also.
Yeah, and Tiffany's saying that they got theirs really, really, really hot or really cool, depending on how you read the sunglass emoji.
Really bright.
Yeah, awesome. That's all.
That's awesome. Cool.
Totally tubular, as they say in the 80s.
Good deal.
Real quick.
I think we had a couple people join.
Yeah. We got the Briscoe 1, 2, 3, 4. What's up, Briscoe? And we got Northern Nomad. Sup, suckers?
Sup, brother?
Glad you guys stopped by. And with that, how about we throw it over to Travis in the news desk?
Oh, the news desk? Oh, hold on a second. We got to make sure I do this right. So this week this is the news for. Sorry, let's start over. This is the ToyLeet Network news for the week of May 20th, 2025. And across the battlefield and through the stars into the convention chaos, the world of plastic continues to collide. From patriotic patches and intergalactic hunters to resurrected warriors and legendary partnerships, the second half of 2025 is already heating up. Studios are on the move, shows are stacking, and a certain traveler is about to shift the very foundation of our shelves. And it's not just about what's dropping, it's about who's showing up, where it's headed, and why collectors everywhere are standing by. So whether you're in for the exclusives, the lore, or just the thrill of the hunt, you've tuned into the right frequency. I'm Mr. Wonderful, and this is the ToyLeet Network news. So let's get into it. Up first, we got some news out of the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom and Spiro. They have their Animal Warriors of the Kingdom comic book 6. It's the next chapter. They completed the first 5, so they have the new issue number 6 coming out. It's actually out now, available for digital download on their website. I have not heard completely whether there will be a paperback print. I know with diamond distribution and everything, there's some things up in the air probably there, but you can definitely get the digital copy directly from Spiro's website, and I highly recommend it. I'll be getting mine either tonight or tomorrow for sure. I know I'm behind, but this has been out for a day or so now. Definitely something you're going to want to check out for sure. Up next, we got some news out of Four Horsemen. First, they were showing off a factory sample of one of this year's Legion Con exclusive. It's that Warrior Revenant, which was unveiled, showcasing its pop and swap capabilities, including the iconic Gargo helmet. The Tale of the Crossroads set will debut November 8th and 9th at Legions Con 2025, and featuring the special edition packaging and bonus items exclusive to the show. There will be standard versions available next year on the storehorseman.com for fans unable to attend, so stay tuned for more reveals as the second half of the year ramps up. Additionally, out of the Horsemen, they had a couple updates and added a few new shows to their schedule, including the one on June 7th and 8th at 5 Points Festival Toy Pizza Expo in Beacon, New York, which will feature the Infinite Legions Phaedon prototype reveal and limited Legions selection. There will also be one on June 20th and 22nd, Heroes Con in Charlotte, North Carolina. That'll be working with the street team from Ginger Kid Collectibles. That's running the same weekend as Joe Fest, so they'll have teams at both events, Heroes Con and Joe Fest. They also have signed up and joined on July 19th, Chris Con's Great American Toy Show in Taunton, Massachusetts, with Jeremy representing in New England. And these are just a few of the events for Four Horsemen this year. They've got a number of other ones. You can go out to the sourcehorseman.com/events and find out more of the events that you can find them at. But you can definitely plan to see exclusive items, get figure sales, and in-person meetups with the studio team at most of the events. So check them out there. And last but not least, from the Four Horsemen, they threw up this weird image. At least it's weird to me because I don't know much about it. But they called it Phaedion, the traveler from the Gryos Galios universe is going to be the inaugural figure in the new Infinite Legions line, merging the worlds of the Four Horsemen Studios and Onel Design. The official reveal will take place on Friday, June 6th, with Matt of O'Neill Design joining the Four Horsemen team for the special event. There will be pre-orders available after the reveal, kicking off a line that promises infinite customization and storytelling potential. So stay tuned for all the full details on that. Again, June 6th, by basically like 2 or 3 weeks from now. Up next, we got a couple updates from Fresh Monkey Fiction. They have announced the final character reveal for the upcoming World of Eagle Force wave. It's Helion, the intergalactic bounty hunter, will be joining the Voyagers faction. Helion brings a sci-fi twist to the military-themed universe, expanding the line's diversity with a bold, otherworldly presence. Pre-orders for the full World of Eagle Force wave are coming soon, so fans should stay alert for the launch details. And again, this is the 1/18th scale releases that they've been doing. Last but not least, we have an update from Patriot Force, which I think we're about 10 days out from their launch of the Kickstarter, if they still plan to launch on May 30th, which I haven't seen any updates that suggest otherwise. But they did show off that they have the Patriot Force War Eagle moral patches during the Kickstarter campaign that will be available, kind of providing a budget-friendly way for supporters to just back the project without buying any of the figures if it's not their kind of item or they're not in the place to fully buy in. They have the opportunity to get a piece of the Kickstarter with this 4-inch by 2 3/4-inch patch, making a great add-on for collectors or displays. They believe it's one of the perfect option for fans who really want to just support the mission, honor the real heroes, even if they're not in the line for the action figures. And that's the news straight from the desk of the ToyLeet Network News, where patriotism patches in, space bounty hunters cash out, and every helmet swap tells a new story. Because here we don't just report the drops, we let the plastic breathe and the sagas unfold. And until next time, keep your figs loose, your poses legendary, and your imagination intergalactic. I'm Mr. Wonderful, signing off from the only network where every reveal is part of the greater mythos. Welcome back, Ed.
Hey. So, Briscoe shared some news that's not toy related. George Wendt from Cheers, Norm, had passed away today, saying that all his favorite actors keep dying. That's because we're old as hell, Briscoe. All of the actors we grew up with are dying now.
Yep.
And Sig Toy Arts saying that his last few customs were heavily influenced by that Revenant figure, the Mythic Legions one. Dope figure.
Okay.
And I'm not sure what Brick's talking about, but he wants to see words scroll across the page. I thought
Is he not seeing words scroll across the page?
I don't know. That's why I'm confused.
Are you not seeing the banner there, Brick?
Brickster, what are you doing? Are you watching on like a cheap knockoff tablet or something? Not functioning properly? He says, hey, are you following the upcoming Rise of the Fifth Sun? Can't wait. Great looking. Hanging out with the designer Jason R. this Sunday on the Brick News. Cool. Go check out Brick News this Sunday. Always does a great show. Always has awesome guests. Always gets into some of the needless stuff that we really do need and wish we could all afford all of it.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Oh, I see. Wanted to type something to see it. That's what I came up with.
Gotcha.
All right.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll have to take a look at the Rise of the Fifth Sun. I'm not familiar with that, so I'll have to take a look at it for sure.
I saw a little bit of it, but all good. So on we go.
Awesome. Well, we'll jump right into the main topic again. Welcome back. This week, we're venturing into well-trodden ground, yet it's beginning to resemble a ghost town, as I said before, the retail apocalypse. We'll be discussing the gradual decline of the in-store toy hunt, which it obviously just consists of what I've been seeing and what others have been seeing is empty shelves, dusty pegs, and diminishing excitement of the hunt, right? You know, I throw it out there to you, Ed. Is retail letting us down, or has the game simply evolved? We'll dive a little bit more in. But yeah,
Tiffany, asked if we froze. I don't think we froze. So unless somebody else says we froze, it must be on your side there. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Retail apocalypse.
So why don't we dive in? We'll explore the nostalgia, kind of the frustration, what lies ahead of the toy
What are
hunting.
we waiting for? Let's give them what they came for.
Cool. So let's face it, right? Walking into a store and finding the surprise figure used to be magic. For me, it was exciting. My kids, my boys, we used to go hunting and do it. But now, we're looking at reset shelves. We're looking at smaller sections. You're finding these in main stores like Walmart and Target. You're not finding them in Toys R Us and GameStop and KB's. Those stores just don't exist anymore. So it's a very small toy section and it feels like an afterthought. So as we dive in, we're gonna breaking down the retail apocalypse. What happened to the in-store toy hunt, why it changed, and whether there's any future left for collectors who still crave the real world thrill. So with that kind of said, Ed, and want to set this up and kind of discuss a little bit. First, let's start. Do you remember your last score in the wild?
Well, I just picked up the Captain Rex from the Star Wars Black Series. Probably mine, and it's Luke.
You cut out there for a second. What was that?
Captain Rex from the Star Wars Black Series.
Oh, okay.
It's Luke's favorite Star Wars character. Probably my top 5, but my top favorite from the newer, outside of the original trilogy. So I saw him at the Walmart the other day. They had that whole set of, the Phantom Menace or Attack of the Clones, maybe Attack of the Clones, because Anakin was older. And then they had some of the boxed figures like the Emperor's Guard and Moff Gideon. So I picked up Captain Rex, but outside of that, I haven't picked anything up in the store that was like an exciting figure. I picked up some figures for fodder or things like that, but nothing that I was like hunting for or really wanting that I've been able to find. How about you? What's the last one you got?
For me, I have to think that, I have to think way back, and it's back when Toys R Us was still here, to be honest. And I was a fairly limited collector at the time. I didn't collect anything but wrestling. My son, at the time, my oldest, he was collecting the Marvel Legends, but I really focused on the WWE stuff. And they used to do some BAF figures. They would do like a 4-series run, and it would have a Build-A-Figure in there. So there was one with CM Punk and The Undertaker, and it was one of the best of collections they did. And I'm thinking way back. That's probably the one I got the most excited for, because for us in the Northeast, and anyone that's familiar with the Northeast knows retail can be retail hell to begin with, just in general, because we're the last ones to see things. By the time we get stuff a lot of times here, it's clearanced on the West Coast, and folks have been showing it off. And I've never been one of those people that needs to have it immediately, but I definitely want to make sure it lands in my box. And unfortunately, a lot of times it doesn't happen. We get delays and what.
The Northeast is the worst place for toy hunts to begin with, right? Let's start there.
Yep.
I mean,
yeah,
even 10, 15, 20 years ago when I was collecting, I would see my friends on Facebook or whatever get things, and they'd post them up months before I ever saw them hit the stores here.
Yep. For sure.
So the Northeast has always been slow, and now it's even slower.
Yeah, absolutely. So which
is funny considering we have one of the main ports in New York City.
They just don't send the toys here.
Yeah.
They just don't send them here. They go to the West Coast and they ship in from there more often. I will say, getting into the independent toy lines, it's been easier to get a hold of things because you got like Valaverse and Mythic Legions or Four Horsemen right here on the Northeast themselves. So it benefits me as a consumer, especially when you order direct. And if you've got a toy company like
Helidope Toys and Nerdzoic are both right here. Nerdzoic, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, they're up in the Northeast too, so they help out tremendously. So you're not getting things from the West Coast. But so that said, talking more the in-store, right? And that's the focus, right? What's the most disappointing in-store moment you've had recently?
I would say it was like a year and a half ago, whenever it was, that Walmart reset. It must have been like just after Christmas of 2024. When my Walmart reset and took out McFarlane, took out G.I. Joe, and reset the toy aisle. So most of it was Turtles, Jurassic Park, Marvel, but more Marvel like younger, action figures. and some of those DC smaller ones that they have, right? That was a serious disappointment because even though I wasn't buying a lot of the McFarlane or the G.I. Joe stuff, it was still nice to go in there and see it, Now it's even a struggle for them to have Marvel Legends unless like a new Spider-Man wave comes out, But I will
are
say,
you telling me? Sorry. So are you saying that your shelves, like the space, the floor plan is smaller now and consolidated?
it's the same
Less
amount of
stuff, even
aisle
more.
because they haven't changed the toy department in like years at my Walmart.
Okay.
But they took toys out and put, they have like the Skibbity figures, whatever those are,
Yep.
and they have a bunch of like the smaller like
Mr. Beast crap.
Mr. Beast crap. They have like the Nintendo stuff, those smaller video game figures.
Mario and Sonic.
The Jurassic
stuff.
Park section's huge, and right now, just recently, I went in there yesterday, and they have a whole section cleared out that I'm assuming is for the new How to Train Your Dragon merchandise.
Oh, yep. I saw that at Target last week.
Yeah. But, I did go over to the electronics collector section, and my collector section has been a pretty big disappointment since they took out the action figures in the toy aisle. So you're talking a year and a half now. Yeah. But when I went over there yesterday, they expanded it, added some DC Multiverse back in. They got the Spawn. They got a whole bunch of NECA in. All the NECA that's there is stuff that's old, like Annabelle and stuff like that. But they did expand it. So hopefully when they get some new stock in, there'll be some decent stuff to see.
Yeah, mine's interesting because I feel like the Legos has blown up the shelves.
I know.
That's the day, right? That's a desire of all of ours at some point, right? Because once it gets there, we know, products can keep moving, and we'll keep seeing things. I want that for Spiro for sure. But what I've noticed is Lego has taken over a ton of space, like beyond what they ever were. The amount of space that Lego has now, at least from my recollection, it's equivalent of what it was at Toys R Us when they had like a massive section just for Legos, and you didn't have that in Target and Walmart before, but you have that now.
Yep.
And I do see, they have like the blind bag aisles and things like that now. Like it's just so much of that, and you have a very small section of action figures, which is what I'm, primarily going. And I will say that both the Target and the Walmarts near me, they've consolidated those more higher end adult collector figure spaces. They've consolidated them. They used to be 2 or 3 sections on that back wall in Target and 2 sections in Walmart. Now Walmart's like 1/2 section next to the video games and the Target's near me. And I've got 3 or 4 Targets near me and 3 or 4 Walmarts that I, often will, drop into. And even the Target, they're 1 panel section versus the 2 or 3 that they used to be in the past. Yeah. Granted, like you said, right, a lot of the Target stuff was older.
Yeah. I think the reason my Walmart expanded it is because they got rid of the Funko. There's no more Funko there.
Oh. So they got rid of a lot of the Funko too. Yeah. They got rid of a lot of the Funko there, but it's shrunk.
There used to be a full force
still shrunk the whole section
of Funko, and now it's down to like 1 column of Funko, and then everything else is pegged and shelved for the NECA and stuff. Yeah, the Legos, right? Lego, like you said, in Toys R Us used to be like 2.5, 3 aisles because they had like the displays that you could push the buttons and see the different things.
Yep.
And now my Walmart has a full aisle, both sides, nothing but Lego and the Lego, Mega Blocks and things like that. So
exactly. Yeah, I've seen that everywhere because you have the adult ones, you have the younger kid stuff, and then you have all of the IP stuff taking up a ton of space too, and then their own brand stuff, right? So there's a ton of it there. So yeah, definitely. The aisles are changing. The way it's falling is much different, right? Kind of diving in a little bit further, right? There was a time when hitting a toy store was the thing, right? Like, I would get in on a Saturday morning or, if we're going out shopping, I'd jump in the car and, we'd hit the Toys R Us, we'd hit a Target, we'd hit Walmart, and we were trying to find something. And, I used to enjoy some of the exclusives that Target or Toys R Us would have because it was kind of that itch of the hunt. Okay, I got to go to Target to get this. I got to go to, Toys R Us to get, this exclusive 4 figure release, right? You didn't know what you were going to find. There was some apps, as my boys got a little bit older, that you could do some checks on some SKUs and things like that. But you didn't know for sure what was going to be in there. The figures, aisles were packed. The pegs were full.
I would say
employees
back
actually
then,
stocked
though,
the aisles.
like the Walmart, Target, Toys R Us exclusives and things like that, right? Excuse me. They've been running those for years, but they used to have a lot more stock of them.
Yeah.
Like
Walmart, one box
Walmart
maybe
in my hometown, an exclusive, they might get one case, 4 figures, 6 figures, whatever it is, and that's it.
Yep.
So good luck finding it.
That's how it was here. And you definitely dealt with scalpers and folks snagging them on. But if it was Sunday after church or something with my boys, we'd get Target up, and they'd always have the Nerf section with some deals on sale and stuff. We'll always end up with an extra Nerf gun, and we get some figures while we were there and whatnot. So it was always exciting, right? There was always stuff. But with the dying of Toys R Us, and I mean KB long before that, right?
Yeah.
But you could find some discounted KBs probably up to about 10 years ago in my area. In Lake George, they had like an outlet KBs where stuff just got dumped to and stuff. They weren't in all the malls anymore, but you had places to go and things to see, but it's just not there anymore. That said, Ed, thinking back and reminiscing on some of the nostalgia, right? I talked about it, Target or Toys R Us being one of the big ones for me. What was your store growing up that you went to? Where was the place that you liked to hit up? What was it like?
So when I was growing up, because I live out in the middle of nowhere, we didn't have Walmart until I came back from the service in the late 90s. We didn't have Target until after that. So when I was growing up, we had 2 department stores that were local, regional chains, right? We had Ames,
and
we had Hills. I loved Hills because I would go to Hills with my mom, and they had like a snack shop up front. It was like a Kmart, but they had the snack shop. We'd always get a soft pretzel. She'd go shop for the house stuff that she needed, bathroom toilet seat covers, because those are the rage back in the 70s and 80s, and I would go to the toy department, right? And I always got to get $1.50 action figure or whatever it was, right? And then Ames was a smaller regional department store, but they had everything there. It was kind of like they had the cheap furniture.
It was like a Kmart.
Yeah, it was like Kmart, right? And I loved Ames. Ames always had Ames. I had an Ames right down the road from where I grew up, and that was kind of the store we always went to because it was just there. Hills was like half hour away, so we only went to Hills on the occasional weekend or something like that. But my mom always took me to Hills right before Christmas, and then she always took me to Hills like on the day of my birthday or my birthday weekend, so I could pick something out. But Ames was the store that we went to. That's where I did most of my toy shopping as a kid. And they had a full blown, their toy department was no joke, right? I mean, they had the bike rack.
Oh, yeah.
All the toys, all that stuff. Hey, Look at this guy. Dead Man. What's up, man?
What's up, Dead Man 1? Yeah,
that's where I kind of.
We had an Ames out this way, too.
Yeah, our Toys R Us. I didn't find Toys R Us, actually, until I started collecting the new G.I. Joe 12-inch stuff that came out in the 90s after I got back from the Army. And I think maybe one time as a kid I was in the Toys R Us, but it was just not, it wasn't in the budget, and it wasn't somewhere where my family ever went shopping. So I grew up in the time when we used to go downtown, right? And we had a shoe store, we had a butcher, and we had, a clothing store right in town. They were just little, you walk the strip, you walk the sidewalk, say hi to all the neighbors, and you go to the shoe store to buy shoes. You didn't go into a department store to buy shoes.
Yep.
So
yeah, so we had, when I was a kid, it was KB's was the big store for me. It was in the mall, and we would hit the mall. They had a super Kmart in there, so we would hit that up. There was I was lucky when I was a kid. The coolest place to go with was it started with a D. It was something Toy World. I think it was like Dwayne's Toy World or something like that. It was I think it was a local. I don't think it was like a commercial establishment other than it was a local toy store.
Right.
But it was we didn't have a car growing up. We lived in the city, and we could jump on the bus and hit the mall. And just down from the road from the mall was this little toy store with 2 stories. They had the upstairs and the downstairs in the basement. They had all new and packaged figures on the first floor, and down in the bottom floor they had all the repacks and stuff that they would sell and whatnot. So it was a toy hit heaven. You got to go there and see all sorts of things, video games, things like that. And it was always relatively inexpensive. From what I remember, my father would take us there, and it was really, really cool. But other than that, it was probably like the Kmart is where I would do it. Or there was a place when I was very young, I remember, called Caldor, and it was another one of those Kmart-esque Ames-like stores that you could pick up some toys and whatnot at. But I didn't really get to Toys R Us until I was an adult, and my youngest son was into, we were picking stuff up for my youngest son for Christmas and the holidays, and
that's how I ended up finding Toys R Us, because my ex-wife wanted to get toys for our oldest daughter, and it's like, let's go to Toys R Us. I was like, okay, I'll go to Toys R Us, sure.
Yeah, exactly. I'd never been, and I tell you, when I got in there, I was like a little kid, man. It was cool. I was like, oh, we're buying this, we're buying that. I think we actually went because my son was so young. We went to it because it was Babies R Us attached to it.
Babies R Us.
So
that's how
went in there.
That's how I ended up there. It was Babies R Us.
Exactly. They're looking at all that stuff with the mother-in-law, and I slipped over to the toy sections and was like, this is awesome. So
my ex would go in there and shop for hours for the right outfit. Just every single thing, flip through.
Yep.
Or like, I'm going to go over to the action figure aisle, check out the Star Wars stuff. And
exactly.
Just,
I mean, that was the cool
back
thing.
And check on you in half an hour.
Exactly. I mean, me and my younger son, we still, even as depressing as it can be, he still finds the excitement and joy in going to check out what's in the toy sections. For me as an adult and being more of an adult collector, and being honest, most of my dollars are spent with independent toys that you're not going to find in a toy store. And then also having the reliable places like Hello Dope Toys and stuff where you can place an order and guarantee yourself to get it.
Luke's almost 20 years old. Him and I, every time we go to Walmart together, still have to go peruse the action, even though we know there's probably going to be zero there that we care about, but we still have to go and check it out just to see. We always hope to get surprised.
I don't know if you guys can see me.
No, we can see you. We can't see your screen though.
Sorry, my screen all locked up on me. I must have hit the lock key while I was playing with one of the toys. So
let me run through the chat real quick while you're there, because we got
hit the chat up real quick.
Brick thought that was the scrolling or the show comments on the stage. It's not working, so I think it's something we got to set up on the backside before we enter.
Yeah, Brick didn't realize that was my news ticker.
Yeah,
for the news show.
Jetman saying, I know you talk not mainstream toys, but is Joe Fest a good time? Because I think maybe able to afford a bus ticket if it's worth it. I will tell you that Joe Fest is a wonderful, unforgettable experience. I met a lot of cool people, got to see some people that I've only known through the internet. Definitely a great weekend. I'm looking forward to it. A couple weeks, I think, the 15th or somewhere around that area, we got our G.I. Joe or Joe Fest pre-show stream. So we'll be talking about Joe Fest all up. We've showed a couple of comments already from Brian, but Brian's here. What's up, Brian?
Hey, brother.
And he's saying GameStop has been killing it. Walmart just seems to be slower. Yeah, Walmart is just Walmart.
Yeah.
One booth at Joe Fest last year, one booth I found a ton of great deals on retail figures. Yeah, they have a couple of gems. You can walk around and get all down the back aisles and stuff at Joe Fest. You can find some really cool stuff. Brian says, Ross, if you're the first one, you find it. If you're not, they sell out because they usually only get a case or less of figures. Yeah. Funkos will not be missed, says Briscoe. Jetman giving us the third. Ames was awesome. Yep. I loved Ames. Wesley K. Miss finding stuff in the stores a little, but it's probably a good thing I'm not spending 3 hours to find 1 or 0 figures on the weekend anymore. Yeah, that's one of the benefits of knowing that there's not going to be anything at the store. Sorry if I'm snuffling. My allergies are driving me crazy. So the allergy, they're so bad for mowing the lawn. The other day, the allergy medicine is not even touching them. Cobweb Collectors here. What's up, the beautiful Cobweb?
What's up,
Cob? Brian says he also remembers shelves being wiped out when he was a kid. Yeah, there were some times when they get wiped out, but when I was a kid, they never got wiped out. I mean, you walk into a aisle and it was floor to ceiling, play sets and action figures and everything you could possibly think of. Sick Toy says he went to Save On and bought robotics figures once a week with my child labor money. We call that an allowance over here. But and Matthew Matson's here. Best Sears TRU and Bradley's.
Bradley's. Oh man, I remember
we
that.
We didn't have
place.
Bradley's out here. We did have Twin Fair and Big Wheel. Those are short-lived.
We had Bradley's. That's where we got our that's where we got our TV when we went from a 13-inch color TV to a amazing 19-inch CRT television,
right,
with a remote control.
Yeah,
I remember that place.
Brian, seconding Hills, Roses, and Toys R Us were great back then.
Absolutely, that's awesome. Kind of move. I think you're good there. You caught up now?
Just one more. Yep, same here. Still have to check out the toy aisle. Yeah, it's just a thing, right? You just go in and shit.
Absolutely. Right. So right, kind of pivoting from what it was to kind of what it is, right? Is the retail chains started to optimization, shifting from, and when I say retail, we're not talking your Toys R Us, right? Toys R Us is gone. We're talking your Walmarts, your Targets. They're not just department stores anymore that have toys and furniture and things like that. They've added full-blown super Targets, super Walmarts, and they have their groceries. They've always kind of had the seasonal goods and the essentials, but for a long time, that's where you went to get your toys and your house goods and stuff. And now they've got your groceries in there. That's taking a lot of retail square footage up, and that's where their focus is, because that's where people are spending their money on the essentials. Toys have become a low priority category.
20 years ago, when Walmart went total super center. I don't think they have Walmart regular stores at all anymore. I think they're all super centers.
I think the only place they have them are in like your Myrtle Beaches, your destination locations, like vacation spots.
Yeah.
And you're still getting groceries and stuff there. They're just not as big as the super
smaller sections of groceries.
Yep. But so, you add, toys became a lower priority category, right? And as a result, between that and many things, right? Amazon, eBay, online shopping became, tremendously, helpful for consumers. You add the online drops, now, you have things beyond just online purchases from Target and Walmart, things like that. You've got your Hasbro Pulse, you've got your direct to consumer purchases, you've got your Hella Dope Toys and Big Bad and, Zerk. You have all these other online retailers where you can get your items. You've got online store exclusives. You've got limited runs through those places, right? The average collector, is left out in the cold if you're just going to a store. You can't just go to the store to hunt, because some of the bigger, better things are, online, and online provides an opportunity to guarantee yourself that purchase, right?
Yeah,
you're not spending the hassle.
I feel the problem, and I mean, I've been shopping online for many, many years or catalog shopping, because when I was younger as a collector, I was a 12-inch action figure collector. There wasn't a lot of that in the actual toy aisle, regular toy departments, right? They had a short burst in the late 90s where G.I. Joe and Ultimate Soldier came back and was in the toy aisle, but it was short-lived. But like, I've been collecting 12-inch, G.I. Joe Adventure Team, and that's all vintage stuff. So I was never finding that unless I was going to a toy show or actually hunting online for it, or through, some of the catalogs I used to get. But I still, it was still that joy of walking through that toy aisle and just seeing the new toy line, seeing how they're sculpting the figures. Like, I think back when Marvel Legends was done by Toy Biz, I had 2 Toy Biz figures. One was Bishop, and I think one was Captain America in that older style, right? But I still love going through and seeing, like, all the different characters they were making. And then I was buying the Star Wars, of course, in the stores. But outside of that, it was like they, I've always been online, so it's really, I haven't been that big of an in-store shopper as far as buying, but in purchasing, but as far as enjoying that being there, like a nostalgic thing, it's disappointing now.
For sure. And I mean, I guess you kind of covered it, right? Like, one of my questions for you is going to be what frustrates you most about how retail works now? Is there something beyond what you've already kind of covered that you would suggest that
I
frustrates
guess the
you?
biggest thing is we always hear, and everybody talks about how, kids don't play with toys anymore. Kids don't play with toys anymore. Well, they would if we made them. They would if we put them in front of them, right?
Yeah.
But to me, a lot of the toy lines aren't really that exciting anymore. They're all based on something, and it's nothing like you don't see unless you go to like the little kids section. You don't see a lot of things based on cartoons. You don't see a lot of things based on, pop culture things, right? We had all that growing up. So the kids would see it on the screen and then they'd go reenact it with their toys. Unless it's, Paw Patrol or Peppa Pig or Bluey or something like that. None of those toys are in the toy aisle except for, like I said, you see Jurassic Park or the upcoming, How to Train
The
Your Dragon
movie.
stuff, right? I mean,
Yeah. I I think part of that goes to the fact that um, there's less kids nowadays watch YouTube. They watch these other things. They watch influencers play games and they
yeah,
watch Mr. Beast things and they watch these other things. So the entertainment that they find is different, and there's not necessarily a toy market out there for it. Though you're seeing things like Skibbity Toilet and Mr. Beast stuff in the shelves in the toy sections, right? And that's those toy manufacturers trying to grab a hold of that market and that
yeah,
consumer that's paying attention to something other than a new animated series. And I think that's what it comes down to is there's a lack of Saturday morning cartoons. There's a lack of that, come home from school and flip the TV on and catch the 3:00, 3:30 in the afternoon Power Rangers episode every day, Monday through Friday. So
yeah,
without that, it impacts retail directly. And then we're left with these legacy IPs like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the Power Rangers and Star Wars and G.I. Joe that make it to the store shelves, but without things like the Mythic Legions or the Animal Wars of the Kingdom, Savage Crucible, like things like that and maybe Savage Crucible isn't the best example, but you definitely can look at things like Animal Wars of the Kingdom. I feel that is very, very much so tied directly to the ability to put a Saturday morning cartoon on, and that animated series, that product would sell in the store, sitting right next to your
yeah. I
He-Man
mean,
and things.
manufacturers of toys and products that tied into toys had a very focused audience for 6 to 8 hours every Saturday morning and for 2 to 3 hours after school. I mean, that's all we did, right? We come home, we'd be
Yeah.
doing our homework at the coffee table, watching whatever cartoon was on. Saturday
Yep.
morning, you're up, your bowl of cereal, and you watched until it was lunchtime.
Yep.
We had, there was no, it was a focused audience, and they knew it, right? So in between
Yep.
every cartoon, it was always toy related commercials, right? Barbie and Joe
Yeah.
and Thundercats and A Team and whatever else, right? It wasn't
Exactly.
so.
Yeah. No, I definitely think that impacts the what you see at retail for sure.
Oh yeah,
So with that, right, you have the Target drops, Walmart stuff, early access. You have their Pulse and fan channels, right? Online it's not just part of the game. It really is the game now, right? It's not perfect either. We deal with bot sniping during certain things. You deal with the exclusive FOMO type situations. And a bit of the lack of physical connection that we used to get when we're walking through the store picking things up, right? But it's easier. It's much easier to pre-order, um, especially in the sense of like, let's be honest, like your Mythic Legions, your Spearos, your Savage Crucible, all of those places, like in Valiverse. If you want a toy, you're gonna get it. I mean, unless it's a con exclusive, you might run into some limitations. But those vendors, those manufacturers, they're oftentimes creating a non-con version of that, so you can get as close to the exclusive as possible. But
yeah,
there's no way you're gonna put in for for a Valaverse or a Mythic Legions figure and order it ahead of time, and they're going to already be sold out of it, right? Like not like the Hasbro when they do their pre-orders on Hasbro Pulse.
Yeah.
It's like, you come in at 9:00 and the people who pay for the premium Hasbro Pulse, membership, they already bought everything out, and you can't get the, whatever Dr. Mindbender, whatever the exclusive is that year, right?
I would say, like one of the things that really killed some of the retail stuff was the direct to consumer stuff that a lot of these toy companies did. Now, with that said, what choice did they have, right? I mean, Mythic Legions and Spiro and Valaverse and stuff like that, right? They're not getting into the Walmart without taking a hit or producing a certain volume, and then you gotta you take the risk of the loss because there's certain margins tied into all that, and stocking.
Well, it's give and take, right? It's give and take, I think, right? Like as a manufacturer, you have to look at it and go, if I go into Target, I'm going to get more eyes on the product. But if I go into Target, I have to do all of these other things.
Right.
And then it's weighing whether or not you want to do it. And then there's a whole, like getting it graded and rated for the right appropriate age groups. And I think most of those guys have done some of that.
Yes.
But I think I think Valaverse stuff would have to be on the back wall for the adult collector area. I don't think they could be in the toy aisle because of the stiffness to some of the weapons and things like that and whatnot. I think, Animal Wars of the Kingdom might be able to get away with being in the general aisles. I'm not 100% sure, though.
Yeah, I think they'd have to soften up their weapons in order to do it, though, because you can take an eye out with some of their weapons. I mean,
yeah, and you may be right. But, that's definitely part of it, right? Is there's that give and take from one to the other. Do you think we lost something by going digital, Ed?
Yes. I think I hate digital stuff. Ultimately, I'm an old school, give me a hard copy of a comic, give me a hard copy of a book. Let me go in to a store and see the shoes I want, try them on, pants I want, try them on. I'm that type of guy, right? I think
Ed, real quick before you keep going, you bought a shit ton of NFTs when those were a big thing during COVID a couple years ago, right?
Yes, I did. I have a collection of them. They're worth negative 2 cents right now each.
Sorry, go ahead.
So it's the digital age is it's here, right? We just got to live with it now. But do I think it ruined a lot of the culture that we had? Yes, we had to adapt and evolve and blah blah blah. I get all of it, right? But still, there's something better to me about having a comic book in my hand and reading it as opposed to reading it on a screen. And it's probably just because I'm old as fuck, and that's just the reason why. But I think it had its benefits because some of the stuff that, like when I was collecting vintage stuff, right, I would have never been able to find some of that stuff because it wasn't going to show up in my local area without paying an arm and a leg or hunting forever for it. So that part was nice. So there's benefits to it, of course, right? Like if I want an Animal Wars Kingdom, I just go to Spiro.com and I buy it, right? And then, like you said, you don't have to worry about it being sold out. On the flip side, I really just like going in and seeing the toy that I'm going to buy before I buy it without somebody else playing with it, for me to decide whether I really want to invest my money in it or not.
No, that checks out. So one of the things that I think that falls into this, right, though, is that, while you see so many successes from the online, and the digital purchasing, right? Like you said, right? Like I don't have to worry so much about if there's a certain thing I want. I don't have to necessarily go fight to find it and spend my whole Sunday afternoon checking every Target location, going on the different sites trying to find it, right? I could just go to the Hello Toys or Big Bad, wherever it is, right, and grab what I want, or direct to the consumer, right? Go to Hasbro Pulse directly, or go to one of the other guys and get it there. But one of the things is those are all wins, right? Is how you get a hold of it. But there are pre-order online fails, right? I can think of a few items that I was purchasing. I want to say they were wrestling figures, but they may have also been some GI Joes that I had been purchasing from Target. and I would literally get a message at 4 o'clock in the morning. Luckily, I was working with my offshore development teams and stuff in my job at the time, so I was up weird hours, and I would see these emails come through on my phone, and it would be like, you have like 30 minutes to like approve that you still want that order. And
Yeah,
like
I lost 2 GI Joe orders from Target for that because, like you said, the emails would come in at 4 a.m. I get up at 6, and I go to, I'd see the email, I'd log in and say yes, I want the order, but it was already too late. It's like, if I
they give you
pre-ordered
like
the damn
20
thing and
minutes.
put my credit card in there, why the hell would I want to cancel it? I'm going to go in and cancel it if I don't want it, right?
Well, why wait? Why wait a full week? Why wait like 20 minutes, right? You could send me the update once a week. How come I can't get at least 24 to 48 hours to follow up with you? That way I have at least some amount of time. That's all like
and they're so
that was all a
sporadic
reason
with
to
those
pull the
too, right?
orders.
Like it would come in on a Sunday night or Sunday into Monday morning, right? And then you'd say yes, but then you get one like Wednesday into Thursday. And then it'd be 2 weeks before you saw another one. It's like, this makes zero sense whatsoever. So I stopped ordering from Target unless it was in stock completely. I don't do pre-orders through Target or Walmart anymore.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that I eased off of at the time after that with them, and really kind of focused. I mean, I centralized all my orders to the independent toy lines, the Hella Dope Toys, those companies that have access to those independent toy lines. So it doesn't impact me as much, but I still like I like to go out and get that feeling from the aisle. So it definitely makes, it makes it a little bit harder.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Like the toy hunt. As frustrating as it might be, because you can't, like back in the 90s when Power of the Force was out, right? You might be hunting for that Han Solo or the Boba Fett, let's say, with the half circles instead of the circles on his gloves, right?
Yep.
Because that was one of the figures that was rare.
Okay.
That hunt for me was the fun part, right? Scoring the figure was great, right? That was the prize at the end of the race. But driving around, some days I would drive from 45 minutes north to the Targets and the other stores up there to the Toys R Us, and then drive, home and go half an hour the other direction where there was other stores, right? And I would just try, but that was the hunt. That was the fun part for me. Like I said, if I found the figure, that was the prize at the end of the race, but I enjoyed the race. So, I mean, it wasn't like...
I agree. I agree with you, and I think that's one of the parts I miss the most. My daughter was in that all-star cheer stuff for years, and we had to travel all over to different areas for her competitions. And one of the things that anybody that knows about having their kids in those sports like the all-star stuff with either cheer or dance, it's ridiculously expensive. And they're all day or all weekend events, but with a family, I got 2 boys, older and younger, but they both collect and they enjoy things. One of the things we made fun about was, it's expensive to take the boys to the show every day. Like they might charge you $30 a ticket per person per day, or you could do a $50 ticket for both days. And what we would do is we'd be like, well, she's competing on Saturday and Sunday. Sunday's when the awards are. My wife would go with my daughter on Saturday and watch her. She'd get the double day ticket, right? We'd spend $50 on her, and then we'd spend $30 on each of us boys just to see her on Sunday do the comp and the awards. And I saved myself, another $60 by not buying the extra double days. And what we would do, because we were in those unique areas, we would map out the hunts. And at the time, one of the things that was big was Walgreens had a lot of Marvel Legends. They would get like they had the exclusive on some Fantastic Four figures, and there was some other ones that they had, Doctor Doom, different figures at the time.
Yeah, Walgreens always got some really cool exclusives for Marvel and for Star Wars, right? For the Black Series.
Yeah.
Just weird ones.
I didn't pay attention to those, but the Marvel.
You wouldn't see that. Like I was doing some of this Black Series back when the Walgreens were really big, and you wouldn't see them when they were hot and everybody was finding them. And then you go in there like months later, and there'd be one sitting on the shelf. It'd be clearance for like $1 off of what it was originally. It was like, sweet.
Yeah, that's so. What we would do is we would spend the Saturday. We would drop the wife and daughter off at the venue, and they would do that, and me and the boys, we'd do the hunt. Right, we'd go hit up all the Walgreens within an hour of that building that we had to be at, and we'd go check them all out and go into each one hoping to find that or whatever. So that was always fun. That was cool.
Anytime my ex-wife and I took the family on vacation, it was kind of similar to that, right? We'd plan out, we were going to this amusement park or to this beach or whatever it was, whatever the main attraction was, but we're staying there for 4-day weekend or a long week, right? It's like, Well, we're not going to spend every day at this attraction because it's, $500 a day to go to this thing, right? So it was like, okay, well, we'll map this out. Here's the souvenir shops you want to go to. Here's the, clothing stores you want to go to. Perfect. There's a, there's a kid store with toys right next door or right down the road,
or a Walgreens or whatever, right?
Yeah. Headed down there with the kids. There's a Toys R Us, in the same plaza as this place you want to go. So we'll do your shopping. And then when you're ready for us to leave, because the kids are driving you crazy, I'll take them down at the toy store.
Exactly. That's what we.
Yeah, my ex-wife was one of those shoppers, right? That like, it was like a mission for her. She would look through every single hanger, but it was a mission.
Oh man!
So any distraction from the kids like threw that mission off, right? So it was perfect for me.
Oh, gotcha.
Kids would be in the stroller. One would be hanging onto the stroller. I was like, yeah, we're going. Like every time we were in the mall, right? Going to go down to the KB Toys, at the other end of the mall, or the Best Buy or whatever, Spencer's or whatever it is now. Right?
Exactly.
She'd be like, okay, I'll come find you when I'm done. All right, because there were 7 more stores that she was going to go check out, so I had lots of time to search every store there was.
Yeah, no, totally can relate, and that kind of leads to this, right? Is that we found ways to hunt, and there's still ways to hunt now. The hunt isn't dead. It's best said to be. It's relocated.
Yep.
Collectors, they're turning to toy shows, flea markets, conventions, garage sales, and other small local retailers, right?
Yep.
So they're trading with one another, swapping. Maybe they couldn't make it to a con, and you're relying on one of your buddies that's going to be at a con like Oz or something to grab you a couple of the exclusives there, right? That you couldn't attend for, right? And you're building the community and working things out a little differently. But you're building that collection through the community, which I think is actually more enjoyable.
That was one of the coolest parts.
To share that with other people.
One of the coolest things I saw at Joe Fest last year. Now, like it was all I had a mission of what I was going to buy at Joe Fest, right? I had to get the exclusive Monster Force figures, and there was one other thing that I wanted to get, and then I saved myself like $100 for just miscellaneous if I saw something. But like going through the aisles of the show were awesome. It was a lot of Joe and military based stuff, so it was cool to see all the different little vendors from other places, that had set up booths. But then on Saturday, it must have been Saturday after the show ended, upstairs they had like a swap meet.
Oh, so yeah.
Everybody that attended could bring tubs of their stuff and sell it to other collectors that they might know. And like all day long, people would be networking. Hey, I got this thing. If you're looking for this or whatever, I were talking online that we, in a chat that we wanted this. So, they put prices on it, and it was just like after the show, a flea market was after the show. It was just so cool, right? Because it was the whole upstairs area from the Joe Fest just set up again without a booth, just tables of people selling their stuff that they had.
Yep. Yeah. So I think that's really kind of how it works, right? Is it's shifted. The hunt is different. It's not getting up on Saturday and hitting up your local retailers like your large scale Walmart, Target, that stuff, right? It's going to be hitting up toy shows, flea markets, conventions, small local retailers. I found out, disappointingly enough, one of the places, Weirdo Comics out of Scotia, New York, they have pivoted away from toys. I went in there after watching the recent Thunderbolts movie across the street. I went into the comic book store. It was free comic book day and everything. Went in there and was checking things out and noticed that their toy section had drastically shrunk. And they told me, said the toys, they just don't do it. He's like, I'm going to buy stuff if I see certain lots and stuff, but he's not buying the retail stuff anymore because unfortunately he doesn't want to have to compete with Ollie's because he's not competing with Targets and Walmart's for you to go buy the stuff anymore. He's competing with Ollie's and what's going to end up in the clearance. So, unfortunately, one of my local smaller shops has moved away from it and is focusing on Pokemon cards and comics now. And that's really all he's focusing on. He'll get some things, but it's going to be aftermarket used and opened, not stuff you can get at retail right now.
It used to be a lot different because I remember going to an Ollie's maybe 10 years ago. And they had a lot of toys in there, but there were a lot of toys that nobody cared about, right? And of course, the 1/12 world was just really getting kind of started at that point in time, maybe 8 years ago, whatever it was.
Right.
Now, when you go into Ollie's, they still have stuff, like you said, right? Some of the Ollie's and stuff that are like the Ross out where Kenzo goes in Colorado. He's getting stuff that we haven't even seen at our Walmart yet. At his Ross for a fraction of the price, and it's a crappy thing for toy stores themselves, right? Because you can't compete with that. You can't buy
not at all.
same thing with Helidope, right? They can't buy the Marvel Legends or the GI Joe figures, get them a month after Walmart and Target, and then they're already at Ross's and still expect to try selling them at full price. Just it's a bad business.
It's hard,
right? And the companies ditch this stuff so fast to the outlets now. You saw it, right?
Absolutely.
Back in the day, figures would sit on the shelf for months before they'd ever get thought about getting put into a clearance section, let alone get sent out to another store for a discount.
Yeah, and I think part of that is just a combination of what we dealt with during COVID and everything there, and there being such a backlog and such a mountain of stuff they were producing and such an overabundance amount of stuff, and then everybody pulling out of the collecting game.
Well,
I think as things balance out, that'll change.
Yeah, you also know though that one of the biggest things in business when you measure how successful your business is your ROIs, right? And then your inventory turns. So if you keep inventory too long, then of course it makes it look like your store is slow. So if you keep it going, turn it to clearance fast, and then ship the whole lot out to a discount store because your headquarters says pack these all up and get a pallet ready to go to wherever the distribution center to go back out to the alleys. It keeps your inventory turns fast, so you're not sitting on inventory, which makes it look good for the shareholders.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it'll slow down. We won't see it as rapidly as we have been over the last couple of years as we move forward, just because I think the gross amount that's being produced is less.
Well, so I can tell you,
to push to those.
That Star Wars stuff that came into the Walmart, right? They had like one of those display boxes, it was a small one. Had like 4 rows of like maybe 4x4 of figures, maybe 4 deep or 6 deep, whatever it was, of the Attack of the Clone stuff. And then they got a couple cases of the boxed Black Series figures. When I went in to get that Rex, most of the stuff in that Attack of the Clones display was wiped out. And then when I went back 2 days later, there was maybe two Dooku's and maybe 2 of the box figures left. And it was like, so that's how fast they're selling, right? So they're not ordering that much. So when people see them, they're like, oh, hell yeah, I got to get,
Absolutely. Yeah, no, definitely seeing that. I see it with the wrestling figures at the stores and stuff, Targets, Walmarts and everything. So, with that said, I kind of want to go to the next slide here, right? We're not saying the in-store toy hunt has to die, right? But if it's going to survive, something does have to change, right? Yeah. Better stocking, more consistent waves, and collectors being treated like customers, not afterthoughts, right? When and we started to cover that in what we were just talking about, right? It's what they're doing now, slowing the production, making it not having an overburden them out there, things like that. And because what happens, like you said, right, is so much of it's in there, and then they ship it out real quick before you even have a chance to find it. And I also think that we went through something a little unique and different that we may not have experienced during the COVID time. We saw a massive jump in collecting by all sorts of people because they had nothing else to do. They had more liquid cash, that they could spend on things that wasn't impacting them. Obviously, things have threshold back and pulled back quite a bit now. So I think that's changing, and I think that the producers of these, the Hasbro's, Mattels, whatever, they're going to have to be more thoughtful in what they're producing. It can't just be throwing a net out there and casting for whatever. They're going to have to focus on what's in season.
I think the Hasbro and Mattel, like Hasbro Pulse and Mattel Creations, whatever that's called there, I think that really has hurt retail a lot, because if Hasbro can sell it to you for the same price as the Walmart's going to, that's more profit in their pocket, right?
Yeah, so they're cutting a discount.
For them, it's worth it because they're not taking the hit that Walmart needs to make in order to buy that figure and sell it there, right? So I think 2 of the biggest contributors to the Walmart and the Targets not having as much stock is the Mattel Creations, Hasbro Pulse, and even some of the like NECA having their own section in Targets, right? That's managed by NECA, not Target,
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean that makes sense, and it definitely could lead to it, right? And it's going to continue to impact it. And I've said this for a while, going back a couple of years, is I don't see when with Hasbro Pulse, they're charging consumers to be a member, so they're getting free money just to have you buy stuff from them. Yeah, it does come with some perks like early purchases, potentially, free shipping and things like that. So there are some perks to it, but it's essentially free money that's annually, it's in the subscription model for something. And then they also have the ability to cut out the middleman, and they don't have to sell them in bulk for, if their retail's $30, they don't have to, cut you a price of $15 a pop anymore. They can just sell for $30 direct to consumer, and they're making, 100% more profit on the product because they cut the middleman out. And, with things, with online retail, that's the name of the game. So I do think, the in-store and your mass retailers, it's likely changed forever. You'll still find some excitement in the hunt, but I think with everybody having the ability to go online and purchase things, you kind of take away some of that. And I think if it comes down to wanting to hunt like we used to, you have to focus on your local retailers, your your toy stores. For me, I'm an out-of-box collector, so for me, going to a garage sale and seeing, like, finding a village-wide garage sale or a town-wide garage sale, and finding some parents who are dumping a bucket of toys out there, it's harder because Facebook Marketplace, everybody thinks their stuff is worth so much more, so you don't see it as much. But if you have that opportunity to see it and you're out and about, you're going to get that itch, and that's probably going to be one of the better ways to get it, either that or a con.
There's a place about 45 minutes north of me, maybe closer to an hour. It's a big, huge collectible store. They're the ones that basically sponsor that Nickel City Con. That's the local Buffalo Con.
Oh, okay. Yep.
They have everything from sports to comics to toys to everything, right? Anything that's collectible.
Yeah.
Except for music, right? It's sports, mostly wrestling, comics, and then they have like the gaming stuff because they have games, game Saturdays and things like that.
Yeah.
But I used to go there like once a month because it was fun because they have vintage stuff, new stuff. Same with comics. They have old comics, new comics, all of it, right? But it's so far out of the way for me now because it's just like I don't have any reason to go up there. It's like if I went up there every 6 months, maybe, but
for sure. So, Ed, on the topic, what do you want to close with on the topic here?
I think that the actual toy hunt in retail stores is a thing of gone by days. I don't think we'll ever see it come back to the way it was, even at COVID time or post, just right after COVID, right? It doesn't mean that you can't go into that aisle and still enjoy it, because even when I'm there, I always look at the Jurassic Park stuff just to see if there's a dinosaur one of my figures could ride on or would look good in the picture. The Skibbity toilets, they all have pretty cool suits. I thought about popping the head off and putting a different hat on there to make a suited, civilian dude, whatever, right? But I think the days of going in there and finding that exclusive that you're hunting for and being able to drive around to 7 different Walmarts or Targets to find that one thing that you're looking for is just, it's just gone. It's never coming back. I don't even think that the stores can look at it. I mean, Hasbro is thinking about making some of the lines only available through Pulse now, so you're never going to see it again. I mean,
Absolutely.
maybe 10 years from now when it doesn't matter to me anymore because I'll probably be dead. But,
so you're saying we're not going to
something would have to
12?
crash. Something would have to crash and then rebuild in order to see that again, I think.
Oh,
like if the internet totally crashed, I think you'd see it, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I think if the internet crashes, we got a lot of other issues and we're not worried about our toys. Absolutely.
You want to run through the chat or
with that? Well, let me call out the topic for next week. Let's then go into the chat.
If anybody has any stories they want to share about the hunts or what they feel about what we talked about, feel free to share it in the chat.
Absolutely, yeah. So for next week, we're gonna roll back the tape. ToyLeet Takeover episode 52 is we're going to be celebrating our 1 year anniversary special. We're going to look at how wild the ride has been, and how it began from the first stream to fan favorite segments, some of the guests we've had, pickups, and full on toy chaos, as we like to call it.
Yes.
We're going to be celebrating the journey, the growth, and the ToyLeet fam that made it happen. So some stories, surprises, some shout outs, and a few sneak peeks at what's next. So don't miss.
Awesome.
If you want to hit up the chat.
All right. I didn't know if you were going to add more or not. So
no, that's it, brother.
Jetman, did you have Gold Circle? We had Gold Circle maybe half an hour away from me that I went to a couple of times as a kid. When my dad used to take me and my brother shopping once in a while for Mother's Day or for Christmas, and we'd hit the Gold Circle for whatever. But Tiffany saying, did you guys have Venture? We didn't have Venture. I'd never heard of that place. Briscoe saying we had a place called Toy City in Canada. It was kind of a weird place. I like weird places. Did that mean you had to go to the Barbie section, Ed? Why, Briscoe? What I do on my toy hunts is my own business. Most of my focus is shifted to independent lines too, and they can't stock every Target, Walmart, etc. Yeah, exactly. The independents have, their direct sales, and then their vendors, and it's the way they do their business, the way they had to start, and it's worked, so why change it? They don't make toys for kids anymore. They pushed the brain rot electronics on them these days. They might push it, but it's still up to the parent. I mean, Travis's son plays with toys. Luke played with toys when he was a kid. He still collects. Travis's sons both collect. It really comes down to the parent, not giving the kid a tablet to babysit himself.
Yep.
And Jetman saying, yeah, video games are a sport now. Exactly.
Yeah.
Briscoe says he only uses digital for the bare minimum. Yeah. It's a thing, man. I'm try to stay off the digital as much as possible. I'm on it a lot just because of work and everything else. But when I get out to the woods, I have no service, no internet, nothing other than using my phone for photography. I don't have any electronics.
You should probably update your service then, because the guys that caught you out at the crick this week in that
I know
Sasquatch
Big Bird. Well,
yeah.
I see a lot of people, right? They see me a lot. They take pictures with their phones, and then I'm okay with that. The amount of people, I saw a post the other day, it was perfect. It said, if you haven't had to explain to a hiker or a biker why you're taking pictures of your toys, are you really a toy photographer? Right? I was like, that is perfect. Kenzo's here. Awesome. Hey, fellas, late to the party. It's all good, brother. And Jetman got yelled at by a Walmart associate for asking if there was G.I. Joes in the back. You never ask a Walmart associate for stuff in the back because they're just going to tell you no matter what. Right. They don't want to have to work. And even if they go back there, they're going to stand there and look at the shelf and then walk back out and say, nope. Toy companies just need to hire any one of us. Then they would make millions. Exactly, Briscoe. I agree with that.
Yep.
And as I said, Kenzo says hunt at Ross's. Yeah, because Kenzo's got an awesome Ross. He's always finding the cool shit. Yeah. TD3 Trooper Troy, what's up, my dudes? What's up, Troy? And Thor Anacostia. What's up, Action? Briscoe, Fat Rafu. Thor, what's going on, my man? And I agree, guys. Those days are gone. Walmart, Target have limited stock, so you have no choice but to hunt online. It's unfortunate, but what option does a collector have? Exactly, Thor. I prefer the stores just stock the damn shelves so I don't have to hunt online. If the store stocked the shelves, I wouldn't hunt online. But and Troy saying out in store hunts have been slim to none. Yeah, nothing in the stores anymore. All right, man. That's it for the chat.
Awesome. Good deal. Good deal. Awesome. So I'm just going to pull this back up one more time. Next week, 1 year anniversary show. How we got here. It's going to be a ride.
Let's add a caveat to this. If anybody goes back and counts how long we've been doing this, it has been over a year. Travis and I missed the year mark because we had things going on in life. So we figured 52 weeks is a year. So 52 episodes is our year anniversary for us. So we don't want to hear any shit in the comments about we're dumb and we can't add time. Time is irrelevant. It's a social construct. That's all I'm going to say. We make our own time.
Yeah. I like it.
Anyway, guys, join us next week for our 1 year anniversary. That's not a 1 year anniversary. It's more like a year and 2 months. But it's going to be a good time.
It's our season 1 anniversary.
There you go. Season 1.
We'll go into season 2. Season 2. So join us next week where we'll dive in a little bit on that, talk a little bit about, how we got to it, talk about some of the fun stuff. Well, maybe even Eric will appear that week. It could be interesting. So
I'm positive about that, Troy.
Awesome. Good deal. So Ed, before we close up, what do you got this week?
I'll be all over modding for everybody like usual. I'll be bouncing between Kenzo's show, and don't forget to check out Toy Merc's YouTube channel tomorrow night, 9:00. They have the big toy giveaway for their 5,000 subs. On Instagram. They also have an Instagram only. The YouTube, you have to be present. The Instagram is just a drawing randomly that you don't have to be present to win. So make sure you go and follow both of those. They have posts on their IG under Toy Mercs. Go out and check out the Toy Mercs, legionsmagazine.com, and buy yourself a magazine. Great looking magazine, really excellent photos, great articles and stuff in there. Support, a new toy magazine, because those are another thing that have gone away and are starting to make a comeback. So other than that, thanks everybody for being here, and see you next week.
Awesome. And we'll just tell everybody to stay wonderful.
Let your toys breathe, toys on the desk, it's the new habitat. ToyLeet Takeover, we're loving that. It's a step high in the air where it's at. Everywhere's a playground for Mr. Wonderful. In the office, living room, let them breathe. Action takes hit the trail through the mud and undersail. It's a ToyLeet life beyond the shelf we prepare. Figures and cents, the perfect place. With hexa stack, we own the space. From battle seeds to epic quests, our collection's always at its best.